Most Jeep owners use these features every week without realizing they're doing it wrong. The scary part? A few of these mistakes can damage your drivetrain, ruin your off-road performance, or cost thousands to fix. Before your next drive, make sure you're not misusing one of these 10 Jeep features. Number 10 is the Freedom Top and Door Removal, and people lose parts and crack panels. Half the reason you buy a Wrangler is going topless, but rushing it is how Jeeps get hurt. The two front Freedom panels need zero tools. They pop off with hand-turned L-shaped locks, a header latch, and a knob. So if you're reaching for a drill on those, stop. The full hardtop on a JL is a different story. Jeep actually leaves a little toolkit in the back with a T40 and a T50 Torx bit, and you want that T50 to pull the 6 bolts across the back, 3 per side, plus the 2 bolts up top on the rear pillars. People strip those bolts with the wrong bit, or worse, they lose them, and there's a spot in the back made just for them, literally labeled roof, so use it. When you lift the top, unplug the wiring and the rear washer hose gently instead of yanking, and rest those panels on something soft so you don't scratch them up. Putting it back on matters too, because Jeep gives you torque numbers so you don't crush the seals or leave the top rattling loose. Treat it like a job, not a tantrum. Roof and doors handled, the dash hides a dial owners leave on the wrong setting more than almost anything. Number 9 is Selec-Terrain, and owners leave it in the wrong mode. On a Grand Cherokee, Wrangler, or a few other models, you've got that dial with auto, snow, sand, mud, and rock. The misuse is leaving it parked in auto for everything and assuming the Jeep figures it out. Auto is good, but it reacts to slip after it already happens. The smarter move is to pick your mode before the conditions hit, so snow softens your throttle and helps you pull away on ice without spinning, while sand and mud let the wheels turn more freely to keep your momentum in the soft stuff. Rock is the one people get wrong most, because on most models it only works in 4 low, so trying to grab it on a dirt road just won't take. Match the mode to what's under your tires and the Jeep feels like a different truck. Plenty of owners get something else electrical wrong too, and it can torch the wiring in seconds. Number 8 is the auxiliary switches, and overloading them is how dashes catch fire. If your Jeep came with those aux switches up by the windshield, you're holding a clean way to power lights, an air compressor, or a fridge without butchering your wiring. But they're not all the same, and that's where people get burned, sometimes the literal way. On the factory Wrangler setup, aux 1 and 2 are rated for 40 amps, while aux 3 and 4 only handle 15 amps. So when somebody wires a big 20 amp light bar straight to switch 4, they've overloaded a 15 amp circuit, and now they're popping fuses or melting wires. The fix is to know how much power your gear pulls and match it to the right switch, putting the heavy stuff on 1 or 2. And for a power hog like a winch, you don't run it through the switch at all. You use the switch to flip a relay that carries the big load on its own thick wiring. Wire them smart and they're brilliant. Wire them dumb and you've got a campfire under your dash. Back on the trail now, a clever system gets fought instead of trusted. Quick reminder, if you want to avoid the expensive Jeep mistakes most owners don't discover until it's too late, check out my 500,000-mile Jeep blueprint. It's packed with maintenance tips and proven habits that can help your Jeep last for years. The link is in the description below. Number 7 is hill descent control, and people fight it instead of trusting it. Have you ever started down a steep, loose hill so sketchy it makes your stomach drop? Hill descent control handles it by working the brakes for you, even pumping one wheel at a time, to hold a slow, steady crawl while you just steer. The mistake is doing the natural thing. People stomp the brake pedal the whole way down, which cancels out the system and can break the tires loose on the slick stuff. The owner's manual is clear on the rules. Hill descent only arms in 4-wheel drive low, it works below about 30 miles an hour, and the set speed follows your gear. So first gear holds roughly 1 mile an hour, second around 2.5, and drive about 7.5. It also only lives on automatic Jeeps, because a manual already does this with engine braking. Newer Wranglers and the Gladiator take it further with select speed control, which is basically off-road cruise control. You dial in a crawl speed with the shifter in 4 low, and the Jeep holds it up or down hills, no pedals needed, as long as you stay under about 5 miles an hour to switch it on. So take your feet off the pedals and let it work. None of that grip matters though if your tires are set up wrong, which brings up the cheapest fix nobody bothers with. Number 6 is airing down your tires, and most owners never touch it. This is the free traction trick that costs you nothing but a few minutes. Your Jeep runs somewhere around 35 to 37 psi for the road, and people drive straight onto sand or rocks at that pressure, then spin out and blame the tires. When you let air out, the tire flattens into a longer footprint, grabs more ground, and soaks up the bumps. According to off-road site Driving Line, a common starting point is dropping 10 to 12 psi on a normal wheel, which puts a lot of folks in the high teens to low 20s. For soft sand, people often go down to around 12 to 15, and for rock crawling, some run even lower. But there's a hard limit. On regular wheels without beadlocks, you don't want to drop below about 10 psi, or you risk popping the tire right off the rim. And the step everyone forgets is just as important. You've got to air back up before you hit the highway, because driving on pavement that low builds heat, chews up the tires, and wrecks your handling. So carry a little air compressor and use it. With your tires sorted, there's still a button people stab in a panic and make everything worse. Number 5 is traction control and stability control, and timing is everything. Electronic stability control is a lifesaver on the road, catching slides before you even feel them. Off-road, though, that same system can strangle you, because it cuts engine power and grabs brakes right when you need wheel spin to claw through sand or climb a loose hill. So people either leave it fully on and sit there spinning helplessly, or they panic and switch everything off on an icy highway where they badly need it. Neither of those is the right move. The Jeep Owner's Manual spells out 3 states. A quick press gets you partially off, which is what you want for deep snow, sand, or gravel where a bit of wheel spin helps. Holding the button for about 5 seconds while stopped with the engine running gets you full off, and the manual says that mode is for off-road use only. The slick part is that when you drop into 4 low, the system goes to full off automatically, so the Jeep already knows you mean business. Just remember it tends to switch itself back on as your speed climbs, so it's not a set and forget thing. Knowing when to trust the computer is half the game. Off the pavement, the rules change again, because going over one number can get somebody hurt. Number 4 is towing, and going over the rating is a genuinely bad idea. Jeeps look tough, so people assume they tow like a full-size pickup, but they don't come anywhere close. A modern 4-door Wrangler is generally rated to tow 3,500 pounds, but the catch most owners never learn is the gearing. With the lower 3.21 axle gears, that number drops to just 2,000 pounds, and the only difference is the gears themselves. Then, in 2024, 4-door Rubicons with the V6 or the 2-liter turbo, the 8-speed automatic, and the new full-float rear axle finally jumped up to 5,000 pounds, though the 4xe and the 392 stayed at 3,500. A Grand Cherokee is the heavy hauler, rated up to 6,200 pounds with the V6 and around 7,200 on the older Hemi V8 that Jeep has since dropped. The dangerous misuse is overloading just for a short trip, because the limit isn't really about pulling the weight. It's about stopping and staying steady in an emergency, and a short little Jeep with too much trailer behind it can sway out of control fast. If you're towing anything heavy, Jeep recommends a weight-distributing hitch once you're over 5,000 pounds, and you want trailer brakes on anything with serious weight. Know your true number off the door sticker and respect it. Back on the trail, we drop into the stuff that snaps actual hardware. Number 3 is the locking differentials, and folks lock them at the worst possible time. On a Rubicon, you've got TrueLock front and rear lockers, and they do something violent. When you lock an axle, both wheels on that axle are forced to spin at the same speed no matter what, so the Jeep physically doesn't want to turn. That's amazing on rocks and a disaster on pavement. The classic screw-up is leaving a locker on or trying to turn a corner locked up, which loads the whole driveline until your tires chirp and something gives. The factory actually protects you here, because on a stock Rubicon, the lockers only kick in when you're in 4 low, and when they're off, your rear axle still works as a limited slip, throwing grip to the wheel that needs it. So the rule is simple. Lock the rear first when you're properly stuck, add the front only for the gnarly stuff, and unlock both the second you're back on grippy ground. Lockers reward patience and punish showing off. That patience matters even more for the feature with a number baked into it, the one quietly wrecking suspensions every single weekend. Number 2 is the electronic sway bar disconnect, and the 18 is what gets people. This one's pure Rubicon gold. Push the button and your front sway bar splits in half, freeing up huge suspension travel so your tires stay glued to bumpy ground. The problem is people think it's a toy they can leave off on the road, and that's plain dangerous, because a disconnected sway bar means way less stability in a turn. The Jeep owner's manual lays out exactly how it behaves. It only disconnects when you're in 4 high or 4 low, and the system watches your speed, so it'll try to reconnect the bar once you're going over 18 miles an hour, then drop back to off-road mode after you slow below 14. The manual literally warns you not to drive on hard roads or above 18 with it disconnected, or you could lose control. So crawl slowly with it open on the trail, and never blast down a dirt road at 40 wondering why it keeps clicking back on. All this trail tech, though, leans on one gear, and it's the single most abused thing on the whole truck. And the number one feature owners use wrong is the 4-low range. People treat 4-lowers like it's just extra 4-wheel drive, so they yank that second lever on dry pavement, hit the gas, and wonder why something clunks. That's the mistake right there. 4 high and 4 low aren't two flavors of the same thing. 4 high is for slippery roads at normal speed, while 4 low multiplies your pulling power for slow crawling. And Quadratech flat out says 4 low should never be used during normal pavement driving because it builds heat and can hurt the transfer case. And the part the dealership never shows you is the shift itself. You can't just slam it into 4 low. You've got to be nearly stopped or rolling at about 2 to 3 miles an hour, drop the transmission into neutral, then pull the lever firmly through to 4 low and let it settle before you drive off. Forcing it while you're parked is how people grind gears and snap cables. Get this one wrong over and over, and you'll cook the most expensive part of your drivetrain without ever leaving the pavement. So there's the countdown, and hopefully it saved you from at least one expensive Jeep mistake. If you've ever caught yourself using one of these features wrong, let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoy Jeep tips, maintenance advice, and owner secrets like these, make sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching, and click the video on your screen now for another Jeep guide that could save you money and headaches down the road. I'll see you over there.